But Doug, what I want to come back to is so you bought this technology from the company. They decided they were going to get rid of this technology. You thought you wanted to become an entrepreneur at some point. You thought this was your chance.
Right.
You scraped, begged, borrowed, friends, fools, family, credit card, personal savings.
All of the above.
Got together enough money to buy this technology, buy the company, and go. Did you think that that was going to be it? You were going to get to profitable on that run?
You know, it's taken different iterations over the last couple of years. Initially, we thought, you know, I've got a line of credit for 100 grand, so that's all we ever needed. And then so we got into that, and I realized, okay, we probably need another 50. Okay, well, that didn't work. Well, now we need to go raise Series A. So that was another, you know, several digits, another, I think, 600 on that one. And then another, you know, loan from this and a thing from that, and, you know, we're into this big now, and it's like, wow, this is real time.
Right.
And then, you know, the thing that we've learned recently over the last year was that, you know, and this is something I got to stress to entrepreneurs that may or may not be listening, is you know when to throw in the towel on something that may not be working.
That's a tough one, Doug.
It's tough as hell, and you can't keep throwing money at something, and you know the definition of insanity is the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Right.
And we were, you know, a few years into this before we realized there was a giant flaw in our business model, and we always called it an Achilles heel. Like, oh well, that's just our, you know, that's the problem with it. But the rest of it's great, and it was. But it wasn't until probably about, I want to say maybe 3 months ago, where we were like, holy crap, we've just figured out how to fix this. And it was changing the way that we sell. We actually increased our profit, and we made it where it's a kind of an unlimited plan now, that where we are able to forecast better for the next, you know, until we get to profitability. And it was just, you know, as soon as we figured that out, it was our just epiphany of, wow, we've got it now. And now we look at it.
But it did take you 3 years.
It took us several years, yeah. You know, our initial business model was, you know, how much per transaction, and that's it. Well, there's no value in that, because you've got a person that doesn't necessarily, they think that might be too cheap. So then we put a network access fee that we put on it, and then we ramped that up to, you know, how much per month per merchant, and now it's plus a transaction and all these things, and it turned it into, you know, now we're at the point where we're getting a good enough setup fee initially that we know that the client is going to take it seriously. They've got skin in the game. We've got a contract that says they're going to put X amount of merchants per month on, and that's really been, you know, we've still got the best product in the world. So I'm not ashamed of saying that it's more expensive than some of our competition. But knowing that, hey, we had an issue here with our business model, we figured out the fix, and now we need to raise more money.
Right.
And so we're out for our Series B now, and you know, we were talking about subscribing the round, and it's not going to be as difficult now, because we've got a proven track record of, here's what we did with our technology. It's been around this long. Here's how many humongous clients we have. We've got tons and tons of
Is that what keeps the investors interested, is you're building a client base?
No, anything that, you know, building a base is one thing, and, you know, great idea is another thing. The only thing investors will ever care about is traction, and getting traction to sales, getting traction for marketing, getting traction for all these different things. And sales equals all your problems going away. And that's really what it comes down to. I don't care what business you're in. I don't care if you're selling widgets to Eskimos that make ice cubes for farmers out of them. It doesn't matter. If it doesn't have sales, you don't have an idea. Right. And, you know, Twitter or Facebook and these things that didn't have any business plan at all and just got huge, you know, they've got to figure one out, and it all comes down to sales. You know, people can only dump $1 billion at a company so long before it needs to start paying back someone. Right. I mean, you can't pay for things with tweets yet, so I don't know how, you know, that's gonna, you know, they've got to monetize that, and they are. But that's where, you know, anything we do now, it's based off of how does this impact our bottom line, because our investors need to see forward motion. You know, we doubled our revenue from January to February. We doubled our revenue from February to March.
Congratulations.
Again I mean, we just keep adding and adding and adding. Now we've got the traction that says to them, okay, now we're willing to go out to our friends now and ask for a different, you know, to pitch you to these guys.
Doug, just a quick question of you. Most entrepreneurs are afraid to give up ownership in their companies.
That's and I know we don't have much time left, so I'll speak to that immediately. Is that don't be. I mean, that's the only thing you can say to someone is don't be afraid. It's not.
So the entity is more important.
It is. Would you rather have 10% of a $100 million company or 100% of a company worth $50,000?
Yes.
Right.
You know, that's what it comes down to.
Right.
And I have to even check myself on that one too. You know, Gary, I spoke at one of your things, the Tika Club, I think we were at last.
I was there, yeah.
It was about raising money, and you know, it was funny because one of my investors was in the audience of that, and we were going through that exact thing right there. So I was essentially making his point for him. And then as soon as I just kind of shook my head, I looked over, he was laughing and nodding, and that's what it comes down to. Is
Right.
you know, pride goes out the window.
It's smart money too,
It's
though.
smart money,
It's not just the money they're bringing to the table. It's the horsepower, the knowledge, the experience, the Rolodex, the
You know,
whole.
even if that's not there though, Gary, it's that it'll get you to the promised land. Like right now, we're raising enough money to get us to profitability.
Right.
Because once we're at that point, then it gets to be a whole lot more fun to own a business.
Right.
And you know, we'll be there in, you know, it'll be March of next year before we're profitable by our current trajectory. We may get there sooner, but because of the way we're set up now, it won't be past that. So now that's what they're investing in.
You're
And
building for the long term. is what
building
you're
for the
doing.
long term, and in 2013, when we're swimming in cash and all the wonderful things are happening in the world, then it's a different ballgame. But for right now, we just need to get there. So is that worth 15% of the company or 10% or whatever it is that we're giving up? Absolutely.
Right.
You know, I'd rather own 40% of this thing down the line and have it worth $100 million than have it worth nothing and I'm working for some other guy.
And then you'll get a text from your wife saying, "You rock."
I will. I get hourly texts from her.
You know, one of the points
1 minute, guys.
that's coming out of your story, Doug, that I like and we see over and over again is, it's not a rifle shot. It's not a carefully planned, venture-backed business plan that just comes off. It doesn't work, and those are so by far the exception. Some of the biggest companies out there, Walmart, Waste Management, start as small opportunities. They're not sexy. They're not new technology necessarily. They just keep scratching away at the idea, and they wind up with a big company.
So that's my advice: is keep scratching away.
Yep. Keep
Doug,
scratching.
thanks a lot for
Anytime,
being
Jim.
with us today. This was very entertaining and very lots of lessons learned.
It's a great show. Next week we have Ryan Carroll, who is 26 years old. He's won the Weatherhead Award now 3 years in a row. Took over an old school business in Ashtabula County. He's setting the world on fire.
Through a recession.
That's just showing off at that point.
That's just. This is.